Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Comic Chat with Gat. As always, I am the title character, Gat, and that is Comic Chat with. And we talk about comic books, and we talk about the current news in comics, and also teaching me about stuff. We've been doing this for almost a year now, and I'm pretty sure I've learned enough about stuff to get the basic gist of comics, but I don't pay attention to the current things, like DC deck building. Got me into that, loving it, and we're going to go over a new expansion filled with things I don't know.
It's true.
So all over this table is stuff that Taylor's going to teach us about, and in the meantime, I'm going to eat part of a Butterfinger because it's delicious and it was offered me by a sick person.
Okay. Oh, sound effects.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, first of all, the new DC deck building expansion is the Crossover 3. So, what it does is it gives you new playable characters, new villains, and like a couple new cards to add the flavor to it. So, it's kind of like the Arrow Pack. So, if you saw our video of the Arrow Pack, it's similar to that where, yeah, most of the cards are standard, like Superman or whatever, whoever's in the pack, but the other characters, like, you'll go through it and you'll get, like, we found the Mirakuru, right, or something like that. So what I'm going to be talking about here is some of my favorite cards, not all of them, but we're just going to go through them.
And this was designed by a friend of the show.
Yeah, Richard Brady. He's actually on the little thing here. Actually, I want to show this to you. Look, there's his name. Richard.
Oh, he's
Game design and development.
Yeah, he is. We know we like to joke that Stephen Amell is a friend of the show. Well, I mean, he is. But Richard always gives us some great advice, always talks to us.
Comments on YouTube.
Yeah, and answers our questions. So thanks a lot for watching the show. And we hope you guys go out and buy this and support him and everything he does.
Yeah, so I decided to add it to the Teen Titans deck building game as far as all the different ones you could... I could have added the villains, the Forever Evil, I could have added the original, but I decided to go with Teen Titans.
Is it because they look really young in the box?
No, that is no reason. The actual single reason is this one card here, which is my favorite card in all of the Teen Titans pack. It is the Superboy Prime card. He's one of the villains that came with the Teen Titans pack, and he is easily he's a huge villain of the Legion, especially in Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds, which we'll talk about. But the card itself was so well done because the character Superboy Prime, we talked about the different Supermans in an earlier episode.
Right there.
But, dang it, Chris, let's write that down. I actually have to upload that now, thanks. So, we talked about Superman, and Superboy Prime was one of the people that sacrificed their life during the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He was the one who's from the Earth Prime. Earth Prime is supposed to be our Earth. Okay. So in that universe, there's actually a really good book. I can't remember the name at the moment. It's Superman or Superboy, whatever. I'll put the name right here. It's about, like, what if that character didn't end up doing the 52 universes and end up having to, like, sacrifice himself and all that stuff. And so he's the only super being. Like, his name is Clark Kent. He was born in a small town in Kansas, but only because his parents' last name were Kent and lived in a small town in Kansas. Like, it'd be funny if you named him Clark. Like, because they read comic books.
Yeah.
And so in that universe, people are reading what this person is doing. And so at the end of, I guess, spoiler alert, at the end of Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds, he gets sent back to Earth Prime. So you're reading him basically living in our world, and, like, his friends and family are horrified by him because they see all the terrible shit he's been doing. And, like, they've been reading the comics of, like, him killing people and, like, wiping out the entire Green Lantern Corps and, like, all his terrible things that he did. Like, he killed, like, I don't know, like 70 plus Green Lanterns. He's a really, really bad character. He seemed good in original Crisis, and then he just went crazy. Okay. And he was locked away by the Green Lanterns for a while.
Was he ever like how in I'm gonna try to see if I can remember comic knowledge here. I'm trying to relate it to. He seemed like a good character, but he was actually bad. Does that have anything to do with when the guy in the Avengers was a good guy for
Hawkeye?
No, it was like the New Avengers. Who's the guy? Was it Osborn? Osborn. He was in the New Avengers. Norman Osborn. He was like everyone thought he was. They were like trying to prove he wasn't a good guy.
No, it's not like that. He actually was a good person, and he just went crazy. And he thinks he's don't call me Superboy. I'm Superman because I'm older now. He's full on, like, psychopath.
That makes sense.
And so the reason why I loved it so much is because his character lives pretty much in a real world. What it does is when you use it, you may swap your current superhero for one outside the game. Like, that's his ability, cool. Which is super neat. Yeah. And so when I read that, I was like, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So, since Superboy Prime is such a big enemy of the Legion, that was a long-winded story to why I decided
at the end of it, Superboy Prime is a very large enemy of the Legion.
Yeah, and that's why I decided, purely based on one card in the Teen Titans pack, to mix them with those. But it works really well, because you have all the cool ongoing cards and stuff that go with that.
Yes.
So what they did was they added 6 new characters, which we talked about briefly earlier. 6 new characters, and then a whole new pack of villains,
Sure.
and then a bunch of like fun cards that make it
Equipment. And
equipment and heroes and
locations
stuff like
and all
that. So I'm going to
Okay.
talk about a couple of my favorites, but first let's go over the main cards because that's the most important thing.
That
kind
is
of when you're
that's what
playing.
you play with, yeah.
Right. So the main 3 you've got are Cosmic Boy, who we
Okay.
just talked about. Right. He's like the main one. Lightning Lad.
Yep.
And Saturn Girl. So
Yep.
those are the main 3 members of the Legion, and I feel like if you
In
didn't have
canon,
those,
you can say those are the
In
names that you
canon.
need to have.
right, you need to
Okay.
have them along with the 4th main character. I would say be Brainiac 5
You would say that over.
Yeah.
Okay.
over anybody else. So
Okay.
the next 2 characters, I actually was like, why? Like to me, it was kind of weird because I probably would have picked Polar Boy and maybe Colossal Boy or like Dawnstar or someone else. Those seem like pretty big characters to me. Or maybe even Mon-El, but Mon-El's in one of the other characters, and so is Dawnstar. But the next 2 are Chameleon Boy and Phantom Girl, which Phantom Girl is really cool. We haven't talked about her at all yet. Phantom Girl is like part of the Phantom Zone, which I don't know if you know what the Phantom Zone, Chris. Phantom Zone is where Superman banishes all of his enemies. It's like
What?
this, yeah. Like, do you remember in
Like
the
Arkham?
kinda? You remember in Man of Steel when Zod, even in Superman 2, which is probably the best Superman movie, when Zod goes up and like they're sending him to jail in like this rocket ship, and then he gets out of the rocket ship in the Phantom Zone. Like that's where they send Zod in the beginning of Man of Steel
Okay.
into the Phantom Zone, which is like this, like it's almost like purgatory.
Sure.
You're kind of stuck there, and you can't escape, and you
Yeah.
just live forever in this.
It's like a black hole. It's an area between 2 areas.
Yeah.
Got
it. And so she has part of that in her, so she can like kind of access it and basically transition between things. She's kind of like transparent. She can turn transparent, and
Okay.
she
So
was
she can walk through walls.
yeah,
Got
but
it.
she was integral. She's actually part of the Phantom Zone that she has part of her though, because in Superman Legion of Superheroes, Mon-El, who is a House of El, so he's somehow related to Superman, but he's actually a Draxian or a Daxian.
Game of Thrones. Got it.
No, whatever. He's another race, but his race was also from a planet of a red sun. So he, when in Yellow Sun area, has the powers of Superman because it's the same concept that he's an alien from a red world. So when he's in a place with Yellow Sun,
Okay.
his he gets superpower just like
Sure.
Superman does.
Okay.
The same thing with Sodom Yat, who's actually the final. We'll talk about that in a second. I guess he's the final guardian of the galaxy. Not like Guardians of the Galaxy, but like Guardian of Oa of Green Lantern.
It's confusing a guy like me when you mix those.
Sorry.
So I got it.
Anyway,
got it.
so but he was banished to the Phantom Zone by the bad guy Earthman. In that they don't show it, but they're like that's where he went. So she helps rescue him in Legion of Three Worlds because no one else can touch anybody in the Phantom Zone, but she can just turn into Phantom Zone power and grab him out.
if they touch anyone in the
They
Phantom Zone,
turn-
they
yeah.
got it. And
So-
then, so can she go between universes?
Not
Or I
really.
don't
No,
understand
it's
walking through walls and going through the Phantom Zone. That seems.
two different things, but she's just part. She can be the transparency of the Phantom Zone to
Is-
walk through stuff. She's intangible.
So I guess the question is the Phantom Zone a specific location, or is it everywhere and she's able
No,
to access
it's
like
a-
an internet?
From what I to understand, you need like a special teleport to get into it.
Okay, so it's somewhere though.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's a
so
place.
It's a place. There we go. Okay.
which is kind of like I think that they had Jail 47. Remember that in
In Civil War.
Civil War.
Yep.
Similar thing. You know, teleport to get this other dimension place where they
Okay.
can hold their bad guys.
Makes sense.
And then Chameleon Boy, who I was like, who is a Chameleon Boy? Like honestly, I've read all 3 of these, which I added another book here because I want to talk about Starman because he's great. But Chameleon Boy, I was like, there's a Chameleon girl that's married to Colossal Boy, but I don't understand. Like, well,
It's their son.
of course, I don't know. Actually, I haven't figured out that much of it, but he's like the main character of the new Legion books for DC.
Oh, there you go.
So, like, I assumed that initially. I was like, I don't know what this guy is. Maybe he's part of the new stuff. So I downloaded the first issue, and of course, he's like the first character that pops up, Chameleon Boy. I was like, okay, well, that's your reason, right?
Okay.
DC wants to sell their comic books, and he's a main character.
Sure.
So people who are reading them would be like, where's Chameleon Boy, right? If you read the new stuff.
Yeah.
And Phantom Girl's also a pretty big character as well. So
All right, so we've got our superheroes now.
we got our superheroes. Next, we could talk about, I guess, the supervillains, and then we'll just talk
Yeah.
about some of the other stuff,
And
and
then
we'll
they
get
can
out
power
of
them
here.
up. And they'll
Yeah.
get these.
So the supervillains that I thought were the most interesting, Persuader, he's pretty cool. He's in the Final Crisis. He has this axe that can break through anything, including like a Green Lantern energy thing. So like
No shield would work.
yeah, he just like is a super axe. So he's
Can
the
he kill
hardest bad
Superman?
guy. He doesn't. I mean, if
Could
he
he- I mean,
hits
he could
Superman,
break
I
through
suppose
anything.
it could break through anything. It
Cut him in half.
might be able to cut him in half.
Write that down as a story, kids.
Yeah.
Fanfic.
Persuader, he'll just slice Superman right now.
That would be a short book. But it'd be
So anyway, so Persuader, he's the hardest. Then they have Lightning Lord and Saturn Queen are supervillains. So their Lightning Lord is the older brother of Lightning Lad and Lightning Girl. And then Saturn Queen, I can't remember if it's her mom or her sister. It's one of the two, or maybe just from the same planet.
Queen sounds like a mom.
Yeah, it does sound more like a
I'll
mom
go with that.
than Lord. Yeah. So, but her power's pretty cool. But we'll talk about how her power relates because they added a new mechanic in this. So we'll talk about that after we talk about all the different characters. And then Time Trapper. Time Trapper is the main villain of Final Crisis, who, spoiler, but it's been out for a while, and revealed at the end, is just super old Superboy Prime. So he makes this whole book happen because he's messing with the time and makes Superboy thrown in there just to fuck with everybody and because he hates everybody.
It's like the Reverse Flash at this point.
Yeah, so totally. So he's just manipulated that. He's always covered to the end of the book and he's just like a bearded Superboy Prime. Which at that point he really is a Superman. Let's be honest.
So,
but I mean, Cosmic Boy stays a boy, even though he's a man.
Yeah, and that's probably why he's so angry because no one would just acknowledge it because Cosmic Boy won't.
Right.
Change it.
So the Time Trapper, which I thought was really fun. So what I did though when I played it is I just threw Superboy Prime in there also, like right after Time Trapper. So it's kind of like he's revealed as Superboy Prime when I played it the other day because that's fun. Okay, so those are the villains. Some just fun stuff. Cosmic King, who is the third of the Saturn Girl and Lightning Lord, Saturn Queen and Lightning Lord, like he's the cosmic version. He's just a regular villain. They're like, you know what, we're not going to give him supervillain status.
Okay.
Which I was like, okay.
Seems weird.
Universo is another cool bad guy that's also in that Final Crisis book. He's the father of the Green Lantern in that, and they kill him, and he's just like, I don't give a shit, I just want his ring. Like, he's a real bad guy. He's like, my son can die as long as I have his ring, and his son's spit in space. Like, fuck you, Dad. He didn't say fuck you, but he said that.
He probably was thinking
that.
Okay.
And then three of the main superpowers are telepathy, electricity, and magnetism, which makes sense because of the three powers of Cosmic Boy, Lightning Lad, and Saturn Girl.
Do they give any specific extra powers if they're
like if
each character?
No, but like they all have the time travel ability, which we'll talk about in a second. And what's cool though, like the magnetism one's good because his power is based on equipment, because of course metal will be metal equipment, and this will you put any number of equipment with cost 4 or less into your discard pile from your discard pile to your hand. Like that's a super good card, right? If you're using it. Then some fun things from the equipment. There's the Light Legion Fight Ring, of course. The Lightning Rod, which I don't know if you read this. Maybe you didn't. I think it might have been. So in Brad Meltzer, Jeff Johns wrote a Justice League: The Lightning Saga, and it's basically in Infinite Crisis. Wally West disappears similarly to the way Barry Allen does in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and to get him back, Starman has. Well, I love Starman, but Starman has his memory, his brain messed up, so he's kind of Deadpoolish. In the fact that like he's a hero, but more than Deadpool is. But he kind of says weird shit all the time, and no one really knows. But he did that so that he couldn't fuck up the future, so that he could be sent back with the lightning rod to save Wally West. And what you find out in this book. So I brought this up because for a while, Starman is a part of the Justice Society because he was sent back in time and just like, I'm a superhero, but he's like always like eating stuff or like saying like, I need some French fries. Like there was like, where's Starman? He's like ordering French fries, like doing funny stuff. He's hilarious and awesome, and I was kind of disappointed that his power wasn't more ridiculous. Like I was hoping I was hoping he was a main character but he's just a great.
But that's just because you love him.
Because I love him,
and
you know,
the fan part of you.
Yeah, the fan part of me, and I feel like I just want to say that I'm sure those Cryptozoic guys, including Richard and everybody else, are super fans of all this stuff because the amount of work that goes into this, and the thought like Chameleon Boy's power has to do with changing cards to other things. So of course it's a chameleon thing. Brainiac's power is using the card. You can time travel cards from your discard pile, so it's your knowledge, which is all about knowledge. So there's really clever nods to these characters' powers and stuff like that.
Now you keep mentioning the time travel.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
We should get into the time travel.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, so it's new power. I'm going to read about it because it's hard to explain. So I'm going to read through it, and when playing it, it'll be really.
Is it a physical card?
See that? No, any card that has the word time travel on it.
Okay. You
can utilize this, and some of the main characters allow you to use that. So Cosmic Boy, during each of your turns, if the first card you play in your hand is an equipment, give any card in the lineup with cost 5 or less time travel. And time travel is. So, new keyword, time travel. The Legion hail from the 31st century and are experienced time travelers. When you see the keyword time travel on a card, it means you may discard a card from your hand to play this card from the lineup or supervillain stack. If you do, you cannot buy it this turn and return at the end of your turn. You may use more than one time travel card per turn, but each card may only be used this way once per turn. Like any card you play, a time-traveled card will be temporarily placed in play in front of you. So remember, there's certain cards, like you have the original DC deck.
Yeah.
Green Lantern's power is to use a card like he's basically making a construct out of it, but you can't buy that card because you're using it. Or sometimes there'll be super villains that allow you to use, like Martian Manhunter allows you to use the super villain, but you can't defeat him that turn, right?
Right. So you're taking something from the active play,
right?
And using it, but it's not yours.
Right, it goes back.
Okay.
And so it only applies to cards with time travel on them, which are almost every single one of the cards from the Legion pack. I think it might be all of them, the exception of the first villain. But her power is really cool because you may play time travel without paying the discard costs. So if you team up her with someone like Cosmic Boy, whose power is during each of your turns, if the first card you play is an equipment, give a card with cost 5 or less time travel, you can use any card with cost 5 or less, especially if you have her, without discarding. So you're just like, it's almost like you're getting just a 6th card of like, as long as it's 5 or less in lineup. And so I use that. I think we determine when playing it, it's more helpful in the beginning of the game, like most cards like that.
Sure.
To like help you get cards you want. Like, I need plus
Stack
2 more.
Yep.
I only need 2 more to get that 7, right? Well, I have 5, and then I time travel that card, and then I can buy that.
Okay. That makes
so
sense,
it's really fun. Like, it's a really cool ability and thing to use. And that's the big change of this, which is super neat. And so before we wrap this up, of course, they added a new location, Legion headquarters. They added a couple more villains, super villains and villains, but it's fine. But I like that they had the lightning rod. I think that's where I was going because the lightning rod's a thing. The time sphere is a thing. And then the other characters besides Starman, who I love Starman. I can't say that enough. He's just so great. You should read the Justice League of America, Thy Kingdom Come, and the Lightning Saga for some great Starman moments. But lots of the Justice League of America stuff. Or sorry, the Justice Society. Justice League of America Lightning Saga, the Justice Society, Thy Kingdom Come. Great stuff.
Yeah.
And Thy Kingdom Come, it has Kingdom Come in it because they basically, during the lightning storm, the Shazam, Starman reaches into the Kingdom Come universe and pulls Kingdom Come Superman into the canon universe, and it's about Gog coming the first time.
Okay.
Magog. I mean, remember that was the whole thing that started the chain reaction of why shit went to hell, because then they're dealing with Gog. And
it all happened in between the Shazams too, right?
Right. And they put him back right before the lightning bolt happened. So Dawnstar, of course, is a hero, which her power is interesting. Her power is finding the way to things. That's literally what it says. I remember if I could find
She's really good at maps.
No, but she can always find the way to things. That's her power. Let's see if I could find where it says that. And I was like, what? Here, she already appeared here, so it must have her little... That's what I love about this book, though. Every time that characters appear, it's like, here's what they do, and you're like, that's what they do. I think she's probably farther in the beginning, because it was stuff that was going down. Anyway, so that's her power, is just finding the way to things, which is just kind of silly and interesting, but cool. I can't find where it says it exactly, whatever. But the point is, that's her power. So, and Mon-El, of course, is pretty cool. He's in there. Dream Girl is another, she's bigger, I think, in the new stuff. And then, those are the 4 main heroes that they added. Yeah, and we're back to Starman, of course. Always back to Starman. So some characters I wish were in there. Polar Boy. I really like Polar Boy a lot. Okay. I feel like I would have loved to have him, even if he was just a regular something, just to see him. And then Sodom Yat. So Sodom Yat is also... So it's basically... He's from the same planet that Mon-El's from. And so imagine Superman with a Green Lantern ring. That's this guy.
Oh, wow.
Super bad.
Seems almost overpowered.
Yeah, and he's a guardian, so he has all the power of the core. Really cool hero, but not, I guess, probably not as prevalent in the new stuff. But he was a big part of the Final Crisis book.
So after playing a couple rounds of this, what did you think? What give us our Comic Chat with Get review?
It's fantastic. I say that if you want a really cool new twist on the game, I think that it doesn't really matter that you don't know the characters. I like how each of these characters works with the time travel mechanic. The fact that they are kind of thought through. He's using elements. He's using villains because he's a justice. He hates bad guys, and she's kind of uses the heroes, so she's the real hero.
So you'll get more out of it if you know the background. But for guys like me who have
it's
just
still
now
a really
learning
cool
about
mechanic.
It's great. It's great, especially the time travel part.
Yeah, the time travel stuff is super neat.
Okay.
And I definitely recommend it. I had questions, so if anyone from Cryptozoic is watching, and you want to answer, ongoing cards. So if I'm playing with the team, this is getting real deep here.
Real in there.
So if you're playing with the Teen Titans pack and you have an ongoing card, can you just discard it from ongoing to time travel? You obviously wouldn't be able to use the power of discarding, because you can discard cards to use their powers, but can you just discard it to time travel? That's one. And then, can you discard it if you time travel a card? If you time travel an ongoing card, so technically it's in play, can you discard that card while it's in play to use the power of that card. Mainly Aqualad and come to mind. I'll show the Aqualad card here. It says ongoing. Its power is to discard a card. So can you discard that card to while you're time traveling? Like it's literally not really yours.
Okay.
How do you discard it? I don't know. Can you? That's the question.
Who knows? How many more of these you have? How many questions?
That's it. That's only 2.
Okay.
I think I don't know. I might have some in the back. No, I think we just said like, it's helpful at the beginning, not as good at the end because there's less cards you want to discard. That's the thing. So anyway, that wraps it up.
There we go. For anyone else who's left watching, make sure you check out all of our other videos. We are Comic Chat with Gat. We're a weekly podcast about comic books. We're also something that lives and breathes by having our guests frequently join us while we record our shows. And so we also live under the CBX cast name. We have a video game podcast called Cardboard Box. We've got Real Retro, which goes over movies,
and they're talking about Back to the Future 2 this week.
Which
actually I think we're putting it up
the day
same day. So same day as ours. Competition.
Well, no. We would win. Okay. So anyways, Comic Chat WGAT with Twitter, which I don't run anymore. Taylor runs it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Comic Chat with Gat on Instagram and Tumblr. Taylor also does that too. And I just kind of hang out and watch. Like, literally hang out and watch. But otherwise, subscribe, follow, check out our other links, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And go play this game. And here's a link to when we played it, and I got to play it for the first time.
Yeah.
There's that.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.